What's going on, guys? Noobs here with another guide for SimCity 2000, and we are finally building our perfect city. We left off having laid out our roads, water, power lines, and ports, and now it's finally time to zone up our land, build our services, and let the Sims move in. In the last video I kept saying we were getting ready to play for real. Well, this is it. Now we're playing for real. So we're starting with industrial, and in my tests I found you need roughly 48 blocks worth. I should say here actually the grid you get is 18 blocks by 18 blocks. So if you cut off, the last three in each corner, you run a strip like this in each corner, that's going to be 12 per side and a total of 48. So hopefully that is the industry that will cover us for the whole city. Putting it on the outside just limits the effect of the pollution there. That way it's only polluting, on one side of your city. Theoretically, I guess there are cities on the other side of this that are getting your pollution instead. From there, we can just kind of keep working our way towards the middle with the zoning. Yeah, this is really where your own creativity comes in. In terms of how you want to layer these, how you want to structure these. Roughly speaking though, with the bigger cities, it's really about the residential and commercial. I mean, this industrial is, like, I think about it, about as low as you can go. Maybe you can get it lower once you've built your city. Maybe you can start kind of removing some of the industrial. I don't know. That's the kind of thing you have to play with for yourself. And then, yeah, just keep working your way inwards. You can do like just a basic ring pattern probably. So we've got this little block of 4 in the middle. And this is where, well, first of all, you're going to want your power plants, of course. Now, I found you need 2 fusion power plants to power a full city. So throw those down in the middle. The pollution from those is really not bad. Generally, the other kinds of power plants, you want to put them, over in your industrial areas. But, like, we're going for some symmetry here, all right? So I figure 2 power plants, we'll put 2 colleges down. Now, like I said, you can have some fun in this middle area. You can do, it's kind of like the water pumps. You can have some fun over here, right? So what I like to do, a little idea I had was you can go ahead. Now, the dream would be, and the math does not work out, would be to put your bronze lama dome here. But you're one space off from having that be perfectly symmetrical. You can either touching this power plant and then run the road on the other side, but you can't run roads on both sides. So it's just crushing. So we need a building that is 3x3 rather than 4x4. What better building than City Hall? All right. Now, I guess instead of that one, we could have done the statue, which is 1x1. We could not have done the mayor's house because that is 2x2. Like, it's tough, isn't it? You can't. There's restrictions. There's so many restrictions. And then run a little ring road around that. And then, what I like to do, since you've got these spaces that are 2x4 here on either side, just throw a bunch of libraries in to fill those in. This kind of, I like to think, all your intellectuals are going to hang out around here, all these libraries, colleges. And I guess they're gonna go work at City Hall after that. I don't know. We're close. We are close to the point where we can actually turn the speed up for good, for realsies. Okay, and actually see how this all fills in. But we're not quite there yet. Obviously, we don't have any of, the services, the police, the fire, the hospital, the non-college schools, or the entertainment type stuff. So that is the last thing we're going to have to fill in here. I found, roughly speaking, they were satisfied with 16 police stations, 14 fire, 14 hospitals, and 14 schools, and 16, well, I used marinas just because they fit nicely in the 6x6 blocks that we've built here. Nevertheless, I mean, this is kind of up to you. This is where the creativity again comes into play, and most importantly, though, I can't stress this enough, guys. What ultimately matters isn't the exactly what you build, as long as it's symmetrical. Okay. One thing I think that we can throw in here, probably a good candidates for those marinas I mentioned would be these spaces here, just because these residential areas are getting a little far from the commercial. People might not be happy about that. Now for these marinas, this is another place where you're going to want this other kind of water just to fill in, and then pick the marinas. I'm going with marinas here over the other entertainment things just because they are 3x3s, which fit nicely in our 6x6 grid. So let's just count this up again at this point. We have built 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 of each of these. But just looking at this, the outer parts of my city look pretty well covered in terms of, police, education, all of that. But this inner area, not very well covered, and we're a little low in terms of my numbers. I wanted about 16 of each. 14 was the low end. So I think what we're gonna do here is see, and it's frustrating, isn't it? Because the center is 2 blocks, isn't it? It's not 1 block. There's not a middle block. There's a middle 2 blocks or 4 blocks. So you can't just do like a center down the middle kind of thing. And what you can do, I suppose, I just thought of this now though, is you could run these on either side of the road. I feel a little dirty even considering this. Or you could even put it right in the... You know what? This is crazy. We're going crazy, guys. This is not something that I normally condone, but you know what, this centers these, doesn't it, quite nicely. So that just, man, that looks, let's zoom out here. Oh, beauty. Yeah, I was hesitant about doing that layout there like that, but it looks pretty good, doesn't it? And this is again where I'm going to say to you guys, if you've been following this or you've done something, it's a little different up to your own design, this is where you're going to want to save it, because we are about to actually turn on the speed. We're actually going to let Sims live in this city. Oh, one more thing. I can't believe I forgot this. They're probably not going to move in without a couple of connections. All right. Are we ready? Let's do it. You can see there, let's pause it, the industrial filled in first, and then everything rushed in after that. This looks pretty good. You can see, for example, my commercial demand is not great. My industrial demand is not great either. It's really just the residential. Having said that, along the outside here, though, where the commercial sits between the residential and the commercial, you can see we got all the cool buildings. And this is, to be honest with you, this is what I always really shot for as a kid, was just like this building, this building, this building, I think there's one or two others that I thought were really cool. This building here and this building here. Those are the cool ones. Those are really the whole point of the whole game. Having said that, look, this is why I said we might need to make adjustments. Clearly the demand isn't where we want it, and that was really my goal here. Commercial, you can see, is just going up and down, up and down. The Sims are not demanding anything. So that tells us we've got enough of services, right? We've got all of the water, the power, the ports, the connections, police, fire, hospitals, schools. Everything on those fronts is covered. Entertainment. So I think we're just looking at an issue of balancing our zones a little bit. Okay, well, we are just about ready here, folks. You can see I've made the adjustments on every side to add in the additional residential, removed some of that industrial, and this is again where you might want to save. Yeah, I don't think you need to be that precious about it though, because we're just tweaking little things. All you can do is turn on the speed, see what happens. Whoa! Yeah, that can happen. Okay, I think I know what it is. I think what's happened is our industrial areas are completely disconnected from the power grid, and that is causing nothing else to want to exist. That's kind of the interesting thing about this game is, you know, everything kind of depends on everything else, but the industrial is the core of it all, right? Like you start with industrial. Nobody's gonna come to your city without the industrial. It is what kicks off the whole thing. All right, we've reconnected here. Let's see if this works. Okay, there we go. Beauty. Okay, but now look at it. We took out too much industrial, and now all they want is industrial. Okay, we've got our zones updated again. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so this is looking better, but on the little graph, we've maxed out demand for industrial. I mean, that's the main goal here. We're just trying to max out demand for all three. We've maxed out residential and industrial, it looks like. Clearly, we've got too much commercial. All right. Well, let's try the obvious thing. This might not be ideal, but we've got these four kind of oddball ones sitting here. Try that one. And look, I mean, we're doing all right here. I mean, we've got 2 out of the 3, but we want to maximize this. Let's see. Boom! Look, oh, I mean, okay, again, it's fluctuating a little bit, and it's really hard for me to see this. It'll be easier for you guys, but it looks like commercial is just a hair below these other ones, and that yellow in particular is so hard to see. Nevertheless, I think we have truly succeeded here. We've met the goals that I set out originally, which are fill in the entire city and have the Sims wanting for nothing. If you turn on, just say cheetah speed, you can see down here they're not asking for a particular zone, they're not asking for connections, they're not asking for ports or any kind of entertainment or other service. This to me is just a nice launching point for if you want to get really intense about maximizing stuff. If this is your city, then from here you can, let's say, try to have a city with really low crime rate, right? And this is where you start pulling up your graphs, your map, and you start to go, okay, this 59 number I guess is good because they're not demanding police, but at the same time it could be better. And then boom, you pull up your city map, you give yourself the city view if you want, and you start going, okay, well, where am I weak on police, right? I mean, crime rate's no surprise. It's exactly where we could stand to add about 4 more police stations. No surprise at all. Plus some of these industrial areas. Other things, one thing I always find very interesting is education levels. That's a fun one to just try to get as good as you can. I mean, you can see where your schools are on the map. Very nicely distributed, if I may say so. Nevertheless, this E number 91. I mean, I think you can get it even better. That's where this little people icon. See, so people don't even look at all these. Even I've been known to ignore these. But this is where you really get into it, right? You can see. I mean, I guess health is good, but maybe it could be better. You can try to really lower your pollution. Again, you can see this right on the map. No surprise, it's right where the industry is. But you can always try to tweak that by adjusting these individual industry tax rates, right? You can drop down, you can drop down things like tourism, electronics, media, finance, and then crank up, the heavy polluters, the mining, the textiles, the petrochemicals. You can try to adjust these. High taxes for stuff you don't want, low taxes for stuff you do want. Down here you can look at education. I remember one time getting in here and just going crazy just on education, right? Maybe this is the point where you want to start experimenting with bus depots. See what you can do with those. See what you can do with those. Get the subway going. I never do subway, but it's so cool, right? Like, see what you can do with subways. I mean, you could have even, if we go back to the starting grid, I mean, we could have added subways to the entire grid just to see what would happen. Because we've got this perfect grid of a city, it's so easy to now come in here and go, well, what if we try putting bus depots at every, certain number of intersections, for example, and just see what happens, see what that does for pollution, right? And look, obviously the 6x6 grid is not ideal for our colleges, but can get into some of those. Anyways, folks, to wrap this whole thing up, I hope this guide has been of some service to you. So this to me is just like where I left off on the previous video. This to me is again a great launching point for you. This is, to me, this layout, this is the jumping off point for where it gets really exciting. You just get in there and you start getting real obsessive. As obsessive as we've been, you can be so much more. And isn't that the point of SimCity 2000? Just an endless parade of more and more detailed things to get more obsessive about. Who could complain about this city? I could. Alright, so that's going to be it for me, guys. Let me know what else you want to see in terms of SimCity 2000 content, because I am loving these videos. I could talk forever about SimCity. You would be shocked by how much I have to cut out of these videos because I just go on tangents. Thanks for watching.